I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car till you get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. I ran up a check.
Good evening, YouTube. Happy Saturday. How is everybody doing? Welcome back. We are A and M, Anthony, Mike, almost mediocre sports guys. How's everything going, Mike?
Pretty good, bud. Pretty good. Weather's nice. It's finally starting to get that summer feel. We got temperatures in the high 80s here, and get a little bit of that humidity, that thing going on. So it's feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
Getting that
it's starting to get a little nicer over here too for us. A little bit nicer. A little bit as far as like we've been in like we had a couple of days out of the week that we hit 70 this week and stuff like that. So but then, like we had like 70s like middle of the week, and then it dropped down to like the 60s and 50 there. Yeah, it just keeps going back and forth. Yeah, you know it's Colorado weather, right? You've lived here, you know what it's like.
But no snow this weekend.
No snow this weekend. It's a little windy today, definitely windy. But it's still probably around the lower 70s. Tomorrow's supposed to be almost 80. I think it's like 76, 77.
Oh, yeah, you guys are getting some nice weather.
Oh yeah. I don't know. We have some plans possibly. So obviously, yesterday was my son's birthday.
Oh hey.
So yeah, so we took him to Topgolf last night. So we were thinking maybe the zoo, but we were looking them up, and I guess the zoo tickets for tomorrow are already all sold out. So.
Oh, I can imagine with the weekend.
Oh yeah. So and it's supposed, like I said, with the weather, it's supposed to be pretty nice. So who's gonna pass up a nice day at the zoo, right?
No, I hear you, bud. I hear you. Especially they have. I know they have free days in Denver. They have free days here too. But what's cool about what they do here in Memphis, or up in Memphis, I should say, is they have their occasional free days, but they also have it set up where even during the week, and I think the zoo closes at 5. They open at like 9 or something like that. But anytime from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, it's free every day.
Wow,
it's pretty cool. I mean, if you have the kids and you want to shoot over there real quick, if you're close enough.
Yeah,
see a whole,
definitely.
At least you can see a couple of exhibits before the day's over. So it's kind of.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. No, definitely. And you guys all know how I feel about the zoo. And funny we talk about the zoo because today, guys, we were kind of leading into top 10 today. We were telling you guys that we were going to let you guys know what we're doing. And as you could tell by our backgrounds, too, we've got some destination areas possibly and stuff like that. So top 10 today is going to be our top 10 destinations. And you know what? There may be a zoo on my list, possibly. So stick around, and I'll let you guys know how we go. But first of all, I kind of just wanted to get in a few things here, touch on things in that. Obviously, Mike, I don't know if you've seen that the women's preseason for the WNBA started up. Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese both got to play. Caitlyn's team getting the win. She was leading scorer for her team with 21 points. Reese and Chicago Sky did struggle a little bit and did lose, but Reese did have, I believe it was 13 points in her debut out there in preseason. But kind of what your thoughts were, and if you got to see a little bit of what Caitlyn kind of produced out there.
You know what's actually surprising me, bud, is, and I didn't even realize this because honestly, folks, I didn't realize, I forget sometimes, because I'm going to be honest here, the WNBA's, never been a focal point of mine. I mean, Bud and I have talked about it. We do watch it and we do feel it's a great product, but it's just, it's a building product, even though they've been around forever. But I didn't realize that the preseason was starting so quickly after the draft. I mean, so I'm tuning into ESPN the other night, and I see they played their first game, the Fever, and I saw where Caitlyn came out of started the game with two quick threes and settled in. As you mentioned, she had a decent showing in her first game, um, and I think it's going to be exciting. We talked about this on previous podcasts that we're looking forward to this particular WNBA season because the influx of talent that's coming into the league, not just this year, but what's coming up, obviously with Juju and a few other ladies that will be coming in the next couple of seasons. And I think it's going to be exciting. So this will be probably the first season going in that I have a real vested interest, and a lot of it centers around Caitlyn, folks. But I think the league has a lot of talent just as a whole to offer. And I think it's going to be competitive. And I'll tell you what, folks, I really think, and again, this is my personal opinion. I'd be curious to see what Anthony thinks too, because he and I talk quite a bit, during the week. But for me personally, folks, I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm so down on what the NBA offers as a product now that I think the WNBA is going to be the better choice. You've got two basketball leagues, but I just think where we're at with the NBA right now is there's a lot of negatives attached to it. And I think for me personally, it's encouraging me to drift more towards what the WNBA potentially has to offer. I'm excited to see what the influx of talent is going to do, as I mentioned, and I think it's going to be exciting. So I'm just curious to see what some of the players do, and you see if Chicago gets a little bit of a rebound, if we get a rebound. So I think it's going to be good.
I agree. I totally agree, and I want to. I kind of want to make a correction to myself. I did say that the Indiana team did win, but they actually did lose by 3.
Okay.
So I want to correct myself on that. Was still a great game for Clark. I thought 21 points. Like I said, leading scorer. Alyssa Smith was the other one that had 20. So 2 players with 20 digits. I mean, and that's not even saying right that Leah Boston she didn't really score very much. So that's without Clark and Boston kind of running the game there, and then kind of giving Dallas a little bit of a push there. So I think there's a lot of good that's going to come out of that. I think Caitlyn's actually just fitting in well, which I didn't think she'd have any problems really. It was the other 2 that I was kind of worried about, those top 2 that, everybody was kind of on, which is obviously Reese and Cardozo were the other 2 that were kind of important. Cardozo, she did okay. But the thing is I think she did fine with 6 points, 4 rebounds, in 13 minutes. That's not bad for 13 minutes of playing. Obviously, we know she's a great rebounder. She's a great force inside. Reese obviously 13 points, 9 rebounds, so almost had a double-double and 24 points, but she was 2 of 8 from the field. So she's got to pick that up a little bit. I mean, obviously, this is obviously their first game playing and things like that, so I don't want to be too harsh saying, but obviously, this is it, right? This is preseason, so this is when you're supposed to kind of get to that point, right? Yeah. Where you got to figure out what you're doing wrong, or kind of get used to the competition now too, because you're finally playing, WNBA ball. You got to figure out. So it is there's a difference. You always hear that, right? And even with the guys and stuff, it's there's a difference from high school to college and college to the NBA, right? It's faster, it's stronger than this. It's still the same thing in the WNBA. These are the best players out here in the country to play. So it's the same thing. They're going to be faster. They're going to be stronger. They're going to have more skills. So they all just have to kind of mesh together and try to figure it out. But I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I think I'm curious to see. You read the articles. I've read the articles, the video clips, that type of thing regarding Caitlyn, and a lot of the blowback on her coming into the league and favoritism and these type of things, and being overhyped and shoe contracts this and contracts that. Obviously, Cube reaching out to her with a big contract offer to play for them this season in the Big 3 league. I think, I'm not going to quote for sure, but I think she opted to turn that down. I'm not quoting fact here.
Yeah, I don't know either. But, I was wondering about that too, because I remember we had talked about that, but I don't know for sure if she.
Which I hope she does. I really want to see her focus on the sport itself. What she's going to be doing. She's got the Olympics coming up, and she's still got to qualify for. I'm sure she will. But and obviously, like you mentioned with Reese and a few other ladies. Reese's strong point, obviously, is her defensive game. It was at LSU, and I think that obviously transitioned to Chicago. But she can't put up the points, as you mentioned. I'm hoping that Reese focuses in on what's important here. She's got a lot of side gigs going on, which I get. She's a beautiful lady, smart lady, so she's going to have a lot of things going on. So let's hopefully she stays on point. and focuses on winning as opposed to everything else. But back to
Yeah,
my other
yeah.
point. But is that the same for you? Is the NBA as a product as opposed to WNBA? Is what you see with the NBA sort of turned you off to fully being invested, and now you got the WNBA?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, the game's totally different nowadays in the NBA. I'm kind of just really sick and tired of, hearing about all the crying, the flopping, there's just always. It seems like more and more the guys do not take the credit for this stuff, or take the blame. I mean, not the credit. Sorry, they take credit for sure all day long. They take credit, that's for sure. But the blame. I mean, sometimes you lose a game because you lose a game. I mean, you blew it. You choked the game out. You didn't play defense. You didn't rebound the ball enough. You get to that point, right, where it's just like you got to start taking the blame for your guys' self and stop sitting here and saying, "Oh, it was the refs. The refs let us down on this one, or this and that," or subtly just kind of putting it out there that it might be coaching that's the issue instead of this and that. Because part of what we were talking about too, Mike, is we brought in that clip, if you remember, from Charles Barkley the other day, that said that Darvin Ham, guys like Frank Vogel and him and Darvin Ham, do not deserve to be fired. And now Darvin Ham was just fired yesterday by the Lakers. But I totally agree. It's not these guys' fault. It is the players. It's the players. And a lot of that is true if you really start thinking about this, that it goes both ways, right? You can't. Why is the scapegoat always the coach? Why can't it be players? I mean, you got to think about what Darvin Ham has, this and that, and you're talking about LeBron, AD, this and that. I thought he's done really well for the team that he has. I mean, he's got an aging LeBron who's still playing at the top of his game somehow, but AD, who looked like he might have a great playoff run and this and that, then he gets hurt, this and that, right? But you got other players on this team like Russell or Reeves who just don't play defense, but he's still finding a way to get them into the playoffs, get wins, things like that. So I think he's still a good coach. It's just sometimes these players don't put in enough effort, which goes back to what we're talking about. Why I take away from not watching this game anymore, because of that fact
When it
that
goes,
there's just no more heart, I guess is what I should say, out there for the most
I'll
part.
say not only that, but again, and this is where it's at, folks. And some of you argue this, a lot of you probably won't, but a lot of it comes back to money. Now granted, coaches make a lot of money. I mean, college, pro, we know that. But the bottom line here is the athletes being the product, the athletes making the biggest amount of money on a team. So, what are they going to do? They're going to cut the coach, or they're going to cut the players. And I'm right there with you, bud. I'm sick
Yeah,
and tired of this crap. If you're about winning, then the money's an afterthought. Okay,
yeah,
you got to move beyond that. It can't be. I'm not going to have Anthony Davis, and I get it, folks. I get it. And Charles Barkley called the Lakers out on this the other night, like Anthony's talking about, and it was a spot on one of the best commentaries on where basketball is at right now. But whether Charles realized it or not, his critiquing of the NBA and how pathetic it's becoming and the lack of effort by these guys in playoff time, it transcends basketball and the NBA. It covers almost every single sport now. We can't speak on hockey because Bud and I don't watch this every single night, but I still believe hockey retains some of the trueness of the sport, so to speak. It's still basically built around what it's supposed to be about. They haven't been corrupted ultimately by money yet. But you're looking at basketball, football, and baseball, and that's where we're at. And so what Charles is talking about is spot on true, but it applies to other aspects of leagues as well. And this is where we're at. This is what Anthony's talking about. And this is what Charles is talking about. You got guys out there who don't want to man up. They don't want to sack up. They don't want to play. This is what you play for. If you're supposedly about winning, this is what you're playing for. Yeah, back-to-back seasons where Anthony Davis comes up with some bogus ass injury, and I'm sorry, let me correct myself. I won't say it's completely bogus, but come on, dude, you got to sack it up. You got to go out there. This is a game elimination, and you can't suck it up and play for the chance to advance. You got to get beyond that, and that's what Charles is talking about. That's what Anthony's talking about. And we're seeing it in other sports now, and it's absolutely pathetic to see this happening.
yeah.
You know,
No, I'm
I
with you.
can't stand it.
I'm with you on it. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm totally on board with what Charles said. All this and that. I mean, they have to find another way than just making these coaches scapegoats. It's
And
just
here's
it's they got to get past
here's
this
the
now.
other
I mean,
reason.
sometimes you got to look at the all around team, what they're doing. Take a look at the progression of the players too, and things like that. I mean, come on now. I mean, you got to think about it. what do we always talk about? LeBron just keeps going through coach. I mean, maybe it's not the coach. Maybe it's the player, right?
Exactly.
I mean, why does he keep going through coaches, and we keep saying, well, it's LeBron knows. Maybe it's not the coaching. Maybe we need to take a
it's
step
not.
back and
Why
realize,
is
I'm not going to sit here and say, I mean, yes, I get it. LeBron's career is legendary. It's great. 40,000 points. He's got 4 rings. That's fine. But at the same time, he can also hurt your team in the sense that if you don't do what he wants and you kind of go along with what he wants, right? So it's like, oh, well, bring me this player, bring me that player. But then it doesn't work. Okay, well, then in their minds, it's the coach brought these players in. They made the trades to get them, or they got them in free agency. No, it's LeBron making those moves for them and telling them who to go get and who to bring in. So then at that point, it's like, oh, well, we can't get rid of LeBron, so we just got to go ahead and say, well, it's coach now. We got to get rid of the coach.
Yeah, see, but and to your point, I don't need to see LeBron sitting courtside in a game he didn't play in because of, I don't know, he stubbed a toe or he tweaked a fingernail, so he's sitting courtside with Jeannie Buss and a female friend, and they're all cozied up. I don't want to see. I don't. That's great that as an organization you have this interaction, but I don't need this. There needs to be a separation from owners to players, coaches to players. It's okay to interact and be friendly, but there's got to be a separation point where you allow people to perform and carry out what they're supposed to be doing. And to your point, this is what happens when you allow somebody like LeBron James to come in, and he can say all he wants, folks, but he essentially helps run this basketball team, and what he's done is run it to the ground. Charles Barkley spoke on that with his last playoff loss. The Lakers suck as a team. Suck, S-U-C-K, all caps, suck. And it's in part like Anthony's talking about because LeBron James has been allowed to sort of behind the scenes dictate what happens and what doesn't happen. And back to his point about coaching. So you're telling us that Ham can't coach or can't coach effectively enough. But my understanding is right now, currently, your 2 options that you put on the table is who you're most invested in as to potentially bringing in to coach your basketball team. One, highly credible in Ty Lue, obviously right across the street with the Clippers. But you're also talking to J.J. Redick. This is your other option? What has this guy ever done at any level as a coach ever? Anytime, period.
Well, him and LeBron have the podcast. I mean, that's where it starts, right?
See?
It's another LeBron thing. That's where it goes to. What can we go? Oh, I like what JJ. You don't like what JJ Redick says. You like just what JJ Redick says about you.
Yes.
And that more than likely, if he becomes your coach, the whole thing's gonna go through you.
And it blows up all over again because at some point, and even if it is JJ, I mean, so what? So you get out there and LeBron starts undermining your decision. That's if he's even there. Because now, obviously, the Phillies or the Sixers are going to make a hard push for him and Paul George, which is laughable to me that you'd even bring in Paul George. This dude won't even ball out to win a game during the series because, based on his last post-game loss, losing is what it is. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Yeah, that's what I want on my team. That's the mentality I want to invest $500 million in to watch him stand on the court and not play, not try. I see the same thing with Anthony Davis. Nobody calls these guys out because, they're just these great, great ball players. They are good ball players. They are not great ball players. They don't allow themselves to be great ball players because they have no heart. They have no effort. They don't care. That's the bottom line. So you continue down this path. That's all you're going to see if you're a Lakers fan is losing season after losing season. You know what? This is the last thing I'll say about this for the Lakers fans. You know what's best for you right now is to allow the Sixers to take this dude, to take LeBron, and just get it out, get it over with, move on, build a team. Otherwise, next year, you got LeBron and 4-point average Bronny playing together. And guess what, folks? You're not going to the playoffs. And if you do, it's a first-round kick. Have fun with that.
Drop the mic on that one, I guess, right?
It's ridiculous. And this is real quick, but it just leads into another thing. And I talked to Anthony about this beforehand. This is another thing I really get fed up with, folks, is we get these commentators that come in now. And this is what I like about Charles Barkley. And this kind of speaks on what Bud was talking about. Here's a guy willing to put it out there on national television, knowing there's going to be a lot of pushback on his comments. But this is what Charles does. Charles speaks his mind. Shaq will speak his mind. Kenny Smith sometimes wavers. Ernie can do, Ernie's the good moderator, but he'll chime in sometimes too. But Charles would call you out. This is what I like about guys like Troy Aikman, folks, in the booth during NFL games. Troy Aikman doesn't care if you're a Cowboy. He doesn't care if you're a Colt. If you suck, you suck. If you're screwing up, you're screwing up. And guess what? Troy's going to call you out on it because he's getting sick of seeing it. He wants to see you play to win, not just play to be there. These are what we need. I don't need, and I'm not going to say just because, certain players, former players up in the booth, they don't want to rub their buddies the wrong way. But sometimes they seem to just want to do that. They don't want to hit the hard line and say, hey, my buddy's not playing well. You got to suck it up and play better. That's what you're being paid to do. You're a commentator. Speak up. That's not the announcer's job. That's not the announcer's. It's the commentator's job.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And obviously we have some time now. We'll see what the Lakers kind of move on and do, and see who's the next in line for that, and see what kind of decisions are made. If it's one of those that needs to be clean the house and try to figure it out with some new players, or do they just add a few players that maybe they feel like they just need. But we'll figure it out for sure, and we'll keep an eye on that for you guys, and come in with any stories that we hear of, or any decisions that are made on that for sure. But turning back real quick just a little bit to back to the women's a little bit. I know this year we will not be seeing a familiar face out there that's been there for quite a few years, which is Candace Parker. She announced her retirement earlier. What was it? A couple weeks ago, that she was not going to be playing WNBA basketball anymore. Mike, I know you were a huge fan of her. I myself was a big fan of her, watching her playing at Tennessee for sure, and moving on into the WNBA. So I always try to keep a little bit of an eye on her. There was a few women's basketball players that I always try to keep an eye on. She was one of them, definitely. Lisa Leslie was another one that I really, really enjoyed watching. Cheryl Swoops. Those kind of players for sure. Cynthia Cooper, that was another one. Yes, thank you. That's a great one for sure. Just like I'm going to be trying to keep tabs, obviously, and an eye on Caitlyn Clark. I really want to see what she does in this league, because something just tells me that it's special, right? There's just something about her, and to be able to see her in this preseason do that, kind of look forward to see what her career is. But like I said, coming back here to Candace, kind of give me your thoughts about her, stepping away from the game.
Just a phenomenal career, folks. As Anthony mentioned, career fan of this lady, all the way back to Tennessee in the 2 chips she won with Tennessee. If you look at her career stats, 16 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, you might say that's not stellar, but folks, don't compare it to NBA stats. Compare it to what she's managed to accomplish within the WNBA. And those are pretty impressive numbers. You're talking about a very lengthy career. She played, with 3 different teams, obviously, and excuse me, and obviously playing with Los Angeles, Chicago, and then finishing up with Vegas and taking home 3 championships. Also Rookie of the Year, 2-time MVP. The list just goes on and on and on. Also 2-time Olympic gold medalist. In action, and I don't recall why, but she was actually not selected, I believe, for the 2016 team. So I'm not sure what that was about, but still a 2-time champion. But if you just look at her overall career, you can't help but be impressed. I mean, obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer. And obviously, I think that'll extend into the collegiate game as well. I don't believe she's already been, put into the college Hall of Fame, but if she hasn't been, she will be. But just a stellar career, huge fan. Hate to see her go. I know injury sort of pushed her out on the back end, but she said in a statement that her body was telling her that, it's time. But she will be missed. Like I said, big fan. All the best to her. It looks like she's found her niche away from the game itself, and that'll be in the studio. And I've seen some of her in-studio work, and she's going to be phenomenal. She's going to have a lengthy career. And as a matter of fact, real quick, to finish up, I know that she also aspires to own, her words, own an NBA team and a WNBA team. So,
oh wow, really?
Yeah. So more power to her. I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
She's a woman of conviction, and I think it wouldn't surprise me one bit if at some point down the line this lady is seeing her thoughts and dreams come true. Good luck to her.
Yeah, no, definitely. I hope she does do well. Obviously, I was just looking up here. She's 9th all time in scoring. The great ball player, like I said, almost averaged a triple-double. I mean, almost averaged a double-double for her career, but tremendous career. Like I said, wish her the best for sure on that.
Fantastic ambassador of the game, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I totally agree. So, like you said, all the power to her for sure on that. But kind of moving on, Micah, kind of we're into the second round now here of the NBA playoffs, right? Obviously, we kind of touched a little bit on some stuff here. Obviously, Lakers losing again to the Nuggets this time out in the first round. They didn't make it to the finals this time. Um, how do you feel though after this first round for the Nuggets right now? I mean, for me, I'm a little on edge, right? So
Yeah.
the main reason is because I kind of thought we'd sweep. I didn't really think we have enough problems, but man, we were like down every game almost against them. You know, we had the 20-point deficit. We were down that we had to come back. Murray hits the winning bucket in 2 games. You know, right now, even right now, looking at the score, there's a little under 7 minutes left. It's 84-81. Timberwolves up on the Nuggets right now. There's something just not clicking there, and I kind of want to get your take too on how you felt about the series itself, how it finished off. I know it was 4-1, but still, do you still feel as high about the Nuggets, or are you a little worried at all?
I think, and you can go back to last season too, but I think anytime you root for a team, as it progresses through the playoffs, the rounds are going to get tougher, especially in basketball, football, same thing. But I didn't feel the Lakers would be swept. I thought they would take at least one of the games in Los Angeles. So that didn't surprise me at all. The Nuggets as a whole, we always fall back on that whole thing about if Jokic isn't playing at 100%, if you don't have the guys backing him up, obviously it's going to be difficult. And I do believe coming out of the Lakers series, they left me feeling pretty good about where they are. Obviously, Murray's ankle is a concern. I know that we're not getting the full story. He's not going to tell you. He wasn't supposed to play.
Yeah.
He was not.
Oh yeah, he was not. Yeah, I heard he wasn't. They said they asked the trainer staff. They told him no, he's not supposed to, and he still went out there and played. So
And he had a great game.
I mean, kudos to him though, right? Because that's something we always talk about, right? There's not enough players. That's kind of what takes us away from this game, right?
Yeah.
There's not enough players like that are out there that want to stay out there on the court, even though they're injured. They're not supposed to be. I mean, you're talking about the guys back in like football days of the the 60s and 70s when they just beat the heck out of each other. They're walking out there with broken legs and fingers and stuff. Now Jamal's kind of fun in that where it's like I don't care if I'm injured. I'm in the playoffs. This is important. I don't want to let my team down. I'm very important to this team, and he is. He should know that he is important. Everybody knows that he's important.
And how is a teammate, if you're really invested as a teammate, how do you not rally around that? I mean, how can you not?
Oh yeah.
I mean, everything would say,
Well, that's why they're winning though, right? Because they do rally around this. This Nuggets team has now become a team. Like I'll be the first to say that maybe I was kind of a little bit. I got a little too ahead of myself with this team by jumping under the gun and saying, "Oh, you know what? They're not. This isn't the best team that we've ever seen. This isn't our best team." Even though they won us championship, I still thought. Now that they're playing so much more like a team, I like it more. I feel like they're finally learning their roles, what they're supposed to do. Other players are starting to step up more. I wasn't a huge Aaron Gordon fan at first. I really like him now. I love what he does on the defensive side when he shut down AD in that was it game 2 or whatever. that tells you something, right? It's like nobody could stop AD. He was on a tear. It looks like they would probably maybe make the series go 1-1, which would have been terrible, right? But then he comes out, shuts him down in the fourth quarter, right? I mean, literally just shuts him down for like 2 points the rest of the game. I love to see that. Porter's hitting more shots. He's rebounding more. Helping more than it's just being that whole pick and roll.
Look at Jackson coming off the bench.
Well, and think about it, right? Because this Nuggets team, if you really think about it, it could be the 90s Jazz, right? Where they don't win anything because it was just Stockton and Malone, pick and roll, Stockton and Malone. They didn't have the extra. I mean, occasionally, yes, Hornacek hit a 3 or something like that. Byron Russell was a defender type thing. But when you add it all together, you have more players that help you out, like Gordon, like Porter, Jackson off the bench, Brown, whoever. That makes you a better team, and that's why they are a little bit, harder to defend nowadays. But I still think the key piece for this team is Bruce Brown. I think with him not being out there, it kind of hurts them a little bit. I really liked Bruce Brown. He really helped off the bench. He was that spark that we needed off the bench, and we don't have that here anymore. And it kind of sucks, but I feel like the Nuggets would almost be unbeatable with this team and how much they've come together if Bruce Brown was on this team.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but as I've gotten older, I guess a little bit of me takes the mindset that, we both know now with free agency and things like that, teams change every year. Regardless of what a team says, standing at the podium, holding up the trophy. Hey, we'll see you next year. We know because that's what they
Yeah.
said. Browns, I'll be back. Blah blah blah. But we all know how
Yeah.
it goes. But what I see with this team right now with the Nuggets, I actually believe that the Timberwolves are what I believe to be their toughest obstacle of what's left to get to the finals. With all due
Yeah.
respect,
Yeah.
Oklahoma City fans and obviously Dallas Maverick fans, you've got great ball clubs. They're playing well. But the size that Minnesota offers and what they have, in a couple of players on this team, Edwards is insane. This dude
Yeah.
is playing off his backside. They're comparing these comparisons are a little bit exaggerated, but you start talking Jordan and Kobe and all that stuff. Let's hit the brakes on that. But this is a really good ball player. But this team, as it's constructed, is tall, lanky, and they're built to defend, and that's what they do. So this is where I see the Nuggets potentially having some problems. They absolutely have to win one of the two home games, and they will have to find a way to win one of the two games in Minnesota. I believe the series will go 7. I do have Denver winning it in 7. It's going to be tough. And if Minnesota were to pull it out, it would not surprise me a bit. But I do believe Minnesota is Denver's toughest challenge to getting back to the finals. All due respect to Dallas and obviously, and now I'm blanking. Dallas and Oklahoma City.
Dallas and Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also,
Yeah. No.
in touching on the Eastern Conference real quick, there's a big Game 7 coming up with Cleveland, Orlando.
Yeah.
And again, we're back to the home and home thing where teams win on the home court. So obviously, I think Cleveland's going to wrap
Definitely.
it up. But obviously, the Bucks going out was not surprising, but disappointing. But again, credit to Indiana. I mean, you went and did what you had to do. And Knicks look like
Yeah.
a good ball
No,
club as
definitely.
well. So there's a little bit of a change there on the Eastern side, with obviously Boston
Yeah.
still being the staple. But it's good to see some different teams come in and start making a little push and
I like that too.
bring
Yeah.
enthusiasm
I agree.
to the city. So I think we're going to get a good second round of excitement. I feel good about Denver though, bud. I think let's see. I'm going to take them in 7.
Sounds good. I'm with you. I'm thinking 7 also in this one. So we'll see. We'll kind of keep you guys updated here and there on this game. Obviously, about 4 minutes left. In this one right now, it looks like Denver is down 91-86. Or sorry, 91-88 now. 4:30 left in the game. So we'll keep an eye on that. But we're gonna take a quick break, guys, and then we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So, I have, usually like I said, we've been trying to do some new things here and there, but this one, kind of just going to throw, we did trivia last week with Mike, but this time I'm just going to throw Mike out a question that I came across, and I started thinking about this a little bit, because this question that I'm going to ask him, I started thinking to myself, well, I feel like I feel like this question, I feel like there's like an answer where it'd be like tons of players, but then when I started really, really thinking about this, I'm like, actually, it might be a lot less than what I'm thinking of. So my question though to Mike is, how many players in the NBA could take an NCAA team and win a national championship with them?
How many players in the NBA currently?
Yes, currently.
That's what we
Can jump onto to a college team and just run the tournament. So basically, if from like this tournament, so we're going off of this tournament, you could put anybody on any team. Can they run it? Can they run it? Any of those teams that are in there. It could be a 16 seed. Like, could you throw LeBron on a 16 seed, and could he win them a national championship?
No.
Could you put LeBron on Kansas and win a national championship with them.
The cat.
So that's what I'm saying. It could be any teams in the tournament. It doesn't have to necessarily, but can you put them on a team? Just it could be any team. It could be a number 1 seed or through a 16. It doesn't matter. Can you how many players in the NBA can you put on an NCAA team and say that they'd win a championship? No doubt.
I think if you put them on the 4 top seeds, because if you start talking 16s, the talent that's surrounding.
But how many players could? But how many players? That's the question. How many players are you saying could do it? Like every player in the league?
No. I get what you're saying, because it's.
But I feel like there are some players though that you could take, because you're saying top 4, but I feel like there's some players in this. I mean, you just brought up one when we last segment of like an Anthony Edwards. You put Edwards with like maybe who's like a good 6 seed though, like BYU or something like that. You don't think Anthony Edwards can make some sort of a push with a BYU to win it all?
I really don't think so, but because here's my caveat to that, because I can point out one in particular. Let's go all the way back to '79 with Indiana State.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana State was basically. I mean, they had some good ball players, but obviously they had one in particular, and that was Larry Bird. So without Bird, they're not going anywhere. But he was the piece that got them over the hump. That type of thing. And obviously they weren't a top seed, but they were a good basketball team. But if we're looking at what's constructed right now, I tell you, yeah, you could look at LeBron. You could look at Anthony Edwards. Now, but you'd also have to say, are you talking about LeBron at 40?
Well, we're talking about, they're talking about right now. So however they're playing right now. So it's not even saying at their age in college. I'm saying right now, you pull Anthony Edwards out of the league. You're dropping LeBron right now out of the league you're dropping Anthony Edwards you're dropping Jokic into the league. I mean, you got to think about some of these. That's what I'm saying. I started thinking there's a lot of them at first, right? And then I kind of came back to your thought. I kept thinking to myself, when I first heard this question, I'm like, I would say at least a good 5 or 6. Every starter could probably in the league and then I started thinking, I was like, wait a minute. Then I started coming to your thoughts, like, well, if you think about it, maybe not, because maybe some of these lower teams are, even though they're like a 6 seed or a 5 seed or something, maybe you still can't.
Yeah.
But maybe so. Then I started thinking, but I feel like every superstar in the league probably could. When I say superstar, I'm talking Luka, Jokic, Giannis. I would put Shai Gilgeous. I think Shai Gilgeous could at this point in his career. I see the ones that kind of get me, and I'm not too sure of, is what do you think of, like, and these are the big 3 right now, is KD, Steph, and LeBron. At their point in time right now, could any of them take a team? I think they could, but you'd have to put them on a 1 seed.
Yes, I agree with that completely. I'll say this
too, right now.
If you even look at Curry, if you go all the way back, and granted, we're talking about when he was in college, but Curry took Davidson, but he still could only take him so far. They can only take.
But what, they got to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, or
yeah, that sounds right. But maybe it was an 8. But again, to the point, as great as he was, and again, he's matured, he improved, yada yada.
Oh yeah.
But there's a very select group of players here that would. I do fully believe. Yeah, you could extend out to maybe a 2 seed. And these certain individuals, like you're talking about, could carry those teams to a chip. If you start getting into 3 seeds and 4 seeds, I really honestly believe we're starting to push it, and the numbers become even fewer. Obviously, you look at a guy like Jokic. I think if you're talking a 1 seed or a 2 seed or possibly even a 3, the guy, we all know what he does on a pro level with professional ball players and how much better he makes them. Giannis is another one who stands out, and obviously Luke is another guy who does that. These are guys that are also accountable to their teams. They know if they're failing, they need to step up and perform better, and that's the kind of leadership.
Well, and then the other thing that's weird, right, is when you're looking at this, is it sucks because the 3 guys we've mentioned, it's not like you ever seen them play, because Jokic, Giannis, and Luka are all overseas, so they weren't over here going to college and playing on it. So it kind of makes you wonder, what if they were here, and what if they did go to college? Where would they go to college, for one, and how better do they make their teams? Because you wonder what some of those players maybe go to. So for me, I would say, because like I said, I was trying to think of, I would say maybe 10 to 12 NBA players could take a team.
I like
That's
that
kind of
number.
what
I like that number. I really do. But
10 to 12 is probably around there. Like I said, your main superstars that you have, and then maybe there's a couple in there that you can probably throw in that. Maybe not at superstar level yet,
yeah,
but can still take them at that, to that point. I'm with you on the like LeBron and KD and Steph one, where I think they need to be on a definitely a better team, like a 1 seed or one or two at least. I would say to get them over the hump right now. I mean, obviously, because you think about it, like LeBron, what he has. I mean, he's still playing at a high level and stuff like that. But I mean, he's just got that big old body. I don't know if anybody in college could stop that. So I mean, he's just gonna body everybody up in there. And Steph's, I mean, he's got the handles, he's got the shots. So I mean KD is kind of interesting to still do because he's getting a little older, but he can still shoot real well. Obviously, I don't feel like he has the same explosion to the basket that he once had and stuff. So I think out of the three, he would struggle the most. Going back and trying to do this, and then I'd have LeBron not having to deal with the most, only because, like I said, he's the bigger body, he's just stronger, bigger than any of those kids in college and stuff. So that would be why he'd have it kind of like the easier run to it. But I would still, like I said, my main guys, I could definitely see a Jokic, Luka, Giannis, Shea. Edwards is another one I could see. I'm kind of interested, maybe like a Jason Tatum. I mean, he did real well with Duke stuff. I wonder what he would do. Maybe even an Embiid too. What he could offer for a team.
Tatum,
In there also.
Yeah, Tatum.
But the other guy that I was thinking about too, that kind of throw was maybe like a Donovan. Donovan Mitchell has been playing some great ball. He put up 50 points in that last game against Orlando, and they still lost. But
Yeah,
Jesus, he's a scorer like crazy. So he's one of those guys that's like in that after 10, right? That, like I said, that 10 to 12 range. He's like that 11 or 12. Like I could see maybe making a push to help to get somebody there. Even another guy's Victor Wembanyama. That guy might be in that list too to take a team all the way if he needed to. And that kid is showing a lot of upside. I'll tell you that much. But that's something we'll definitely get into later. I definitely want to kind of talk about him and maybe start getting into a little more conversations about some of these players that are all-stars and kind of see how different it's been and like the changes from what a superstar and all-star is, because I feel like there's a huge change than what we talked about. I think we can kind of maybe get into different eras and kind of talk about who were the main superstars and kind of see how it's changed throughout the years.
Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. One another thing and I know people do look at it, but I think it really needs to be examined a little bit more thoroughly than it probably has been on a broader scale. I see videos about it. I read articles about it. You have too. I really believe we're at a point now. This isn't by coincidence. How many European players are we seeing come into this league that are becoming the best players in this league? And part of it is because European basketball folks, they are so about fundamentals and they're about team basketball and improving, and maximizing your skill set. Sometimes before you come to the NBA, this is what these guys do, and you see the effects of this. Yeah, they come over, at 25, 26, so they've already lost some years as far as an NBA career is concerned. But look what they're doing in a league where the guys that are becoming the best players in the league are the guys with a lot of effort, with a lot of skill set, and they understand the team concept. I mean, that's not by coincidence, folks, and that's something down the line, like Anthony's talking about. I think we can really delve into this a little bit more because there's a lot going on there that people aren't necessarily talking about. That they should.
For sure, Mike. Well, I'm glad we're on the same page with this. I was kind of seeing how different we were on this one, but I thought it was a pretty good
that's a
question
great
to kind of think about for sure.
Yeah, that's a great question. Guys like Tatum and Embiid, real quick. Embiid, and I say this only because, with the injuries and stuff, I just don't know where he would be at the back of the college. Who knows? And Tatum, I want to see Tatum lead this Celtic team like I know he's capable.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you.
So we'll see, but that's a great question, bud, and that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It really will. That's a great topic.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know, guys, in chat when you guys are watching this. If somebody we missed or somebody you guys think that definitely would be able to take a team, and what team you guys think they could lead from this past tournament that you'd like to see somebody on that team and pull them away. But sounds good. Well, here we go, guys. We're gonna be moving on to what's next. Top 10. All right, everybody, it is time for top 10. And like we had said at the beginning of the show, we are going to our top 10 vacation destinations. Man, Mike, I'll tell you what, this is actually fun to do. This was nice to be able to do, think about these places. But I'll tell you what, if I could even possibly get through half of my list in my
Yeah,
lifetime, I'd be happy.
third,
I'd be happy for
third.
sure. You know what I mean? Even if but I'll tell you what, if I could just go to just at least two for sure, which would be when we get into this, I'll kind of explain which two for sure I want to try to get to. That is actually probably, legit for me to probably get to. I'll kind of explain that, but if I can get at least to two of them, I would be a happy, happy person in my lifetime, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. But now, one on my list, folks, I have been to, but I put it back on the list because I was only, my wife and I were only able to go to one aspect of this country. But having a chance to experience it, it just made me want to ultimately have a chance to go back and
Yeah.
broaden the experience, so to speak. But
Oh, for sure.
that's on this list.
Well, let's get us started, Mike. Go ahead and let us know what is number 10.
Folks, you might say it's a little bit generic. I don't necessarily say it's generic. Hawaii has a lot of islands that encompass the islands of Hawaii. And personally, honestly, I'd take a trip to any one of the islands. I've seen a lot of
No
things. I've
doubt.
talked to a lot of people about Maui in particular, Maui. And I've seen a lot of videos. I've seen shows about surfing and those type of things, and the beaches and the white sand and the clear water and the temperatures. And I got to tell you, folks, there's a lot of places we could go in this world to find some swaying palm trees with a breeze coming in and you're kicking it on the beach with a little bit of sand and just watching the sun come up or go down. And I just don't know if there's, regardless of what beach you pick or the location itself, if you're going to be able to top it. I have a couple on my list for essentially that type of atmosphere. I just thought, Maui is, and I say this in part, folks, because of places I'd like to see, exotic
Yeah.
locales. Maui's probably a little more affordable
Yeah,
than some of the
exactly, right?
others. But if I had to pick of all the islands, and from what I've heard and what I've seen, Maui at number 10 for me. This is a little kickstart to, other world travels, as they say. I think Maui would be a great first
Oh,
destination.
definitely. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Mike. I mean, it's got to be beautiful there, obviously. I would love to get out there. I mean, Maui specifically is not. I mean, just is not on my list. I mean, I'll talk about Hawaii later on in mine and stuff. So I love it. I love Maui. I mean, obviously it's beautiful. It's beautiful there. It's a huge. That's something like you said, more affordable that you can probably get to. That's something on your list. It's just like if I can ever afford it, I can get there and kind of do it. So I'm with you.
But
I'm with you on the Maui
yeah, and real
for
quick,
sure.
but the islands also offer the volcano experience, and I'm not saying active. They are
Yeah, yeah,
active,
yeah,
but
yeah,
they're not
yeah.
actively flowing. So that's another curiosity of mine too, folks. Is aside from the palm trees and the beaches, the chance to go up and just see some of the effects that the volcanoes have had on the landscape and that type of thing. So that's another big draw to me too, man.
For sure. Definitely, definitely. Well, for me, my number 10, Miami. I would love to try to get out to Miami out there, Miami Beach, just get out there to hang out there. It's one of those places, obviously, you've seen in movies.
Bad
And
boys.
it's one of those where everybody's kind of and it's that destination spot though, right? It's like I'm in Miami like that. If you've been to Miami, you have fun about it, you hear things about it. So I really want to just go out there and just enjoy it. And it's another one of those where it's like I could probably do it, right? Eventually I can get out to Miami, Florida, and enjoy the beach and things like that. So sometime, I mean, this isn't one of the two that I said that I hope I can get to or ever want to get to, but Miami's just one of those. It's one of those destination spots where it's like I gotta get there. It's affordable, but I just want to see what it's like on a Miami beach. I've been to California, so I've been on Venice Beach and things like that too. So to be able to say I go to Florida and be on a Florida beach, in Miami out there, maybe maybe it's around time for some Heat basketball. I feel like Miami's more like basketball, right? Like it's Miami Heat. Like I don't feel like maybe the Dolphins have started to get over there little bit more, things like that. For me, I feel like it's the heat, right? If you're gonna go to Miami, you're gonna catch like a game. It's the heat, you know. Not even the Marlins, right? I mean, ever since they moved to Miami Marlins and stuff like it's the heat. That's for me. So maybe catch a Heat game, something like that. But it is something that I
No,
would like to
no,
kind of
no.
get to, and I could afford to get to sometime.
Yeah, I think you were talking one point in time, but I think through my dad's and my travels, I think I've seen 45 of the 50 states. I believe that's right.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhere around 45, I believe is the right number. I have been to Florida. I have not been to Miami. I've been to the upper part of Florida. But I can speak on the beaches to a degree. Up in the northern part, it's obviously it's a little bit different. But you get down to where Anthony's talking about. Um, how can you watch? And I mentioned it before. How can you watch Bad Boys, a movie with Will Smith,
Yeah.
and not want to
Exactly.
go to Miami and just experience what it's like? That
Mm-hmm.
type of, or if you're an old Miami Vice fan, I'm going throwback here. The old TV series, and then racing around downtown Miami with all the neon colors and everything. Thinking, man, how cool is this? It's like December.
Oh yeah.
These guys are wearing T-shirts and these light jackets and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I think it's known obviously for its party life, that type of thing. Obviously the scenery, the beaches, what it has to offer. It's one of the big is the state itself is one of the big retirement communities in the entire country. So a lot of people make their
Yeah.
way down there. But I have not been to Miami. I wouldn't mind going down there though, just to kind of experience everything. But see what it
Definitely, for
has
sure.
for. I like that choice.
Nice, nice. Well, moving on. What do you got as number 9?
Well, folks, I mentioned this in my number 10, so we're going to jump on it real quick at number 9. I put it at 9 only because, as I mentioned, my wife and I had a chance to go there back in 2019, and that was we actually went to France, but more specifically, we went to Paris, and we spent about 6 days, 7 days in Paris. And I got to tell you something, folks, that's one of the greatest experiences of my
Oh
entire
man,
life. We
I
also
bet.
we also went to Belgium and Brussels, and those are great cities too. It's a big shout out to Brussels. They make some of the best chocolate in the world, and I'll have to speak on them sometime if we ever do another segment. But for Paris, folks, again, we had a chance to sample a portion of the city. Paris has about 12 million people in that city alone. 12
Jeez,
million.
good
So there's a
lord.
lot of people and there's a lot to see if you have the time to spend there, and I hope we get a chance to go back. But again, as I mentioned, to go back would be to have the opportunity to expand upon that and to go out into, and even though we don't drink, go out to some of the wineries, those type of things, Tuscany and all that, and those type of areas. Just experience more of the culture, the history, the architecture. I tell you what, Paris has got some phenomenal museums. That is no joke. And I actually had a
Oh, I
chance
bet.
to visually see in person the Mona Lisa. And that was mind-boggling to me to literally see the Mona Lisa hanging, in the Louvre. It was
Wow,
incredible. Uh,
amazing.
but at number 9 is Paris. But hope to go back someday and just expand further out and see what the rest of France has to offer, folks.
Oh yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I do have France on here on my list too. I'll kind of dive in a little more once I get into. Absolutely, I love the pick for sure. Like I said, once I get into it, I'll kind of dive in a little more on that for sure.
Real
But I love
quick,
it. Love the
real
pick.
quick, the best scrambled eggs and croissants you'll ever have, and
Okay.
orange juice. Those three things.
All right.
You try
Okay.
these, you'll never.
That sounds the croissant, because that's where it is. You have to probably
You
try
do.
one out there.
You
You
do.
have to. It just makes sense, right? It's just like anything. It's just like most of these places you go to, right? There's something specific. You go to Philly, you got a Philly
Exactly.
cheesesteak,
You have to
things like
sample.
that. And that's what you have to have a croissant if you're in France. You
Yeah.
just have to, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, so for me, next one for me I have is we are on is London. I would love to go to London. Um, for me, it's one of those things where,
Big Ben.
well, so for
Not
me, it's like
Roethlisberger.
this is weird. It's one of those where it's like, yeah, it's like for London, it's like it's appealing to me more because I've seen so many movies and things with it. It's like you want to know if it's true. Is it a true place or is it all just fake? Things like that. Do you see the double buses? Do you see, is it really the way how packed it is? Is it those old time buildings, the antique buildings, things like that too? Are those all legit? Big Ben, like how nice does that look up close to see? You know, obviously being overseas is another thing. You know, out of the country, that's another crazy thing for me. To start to be able to say that, because for me personally, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever get out of the country. I just don't know if I'll do it. Hopefully I do. Just because, like I said, it's just that it's just that feeling of being able to be somewhere totally different like that, right? And you're because you know nothing. Like it's not. There's a little bit of difference, like saying if you drive from like say Colorado to New Mexico. I mean, yeah, you're in another state, but you know we're kind of where you're at.
Okay.
We've been in New Mexico plenty of times. Or you've been to Arizona, Vegas, things like you know where you're going. You have nowhere you're going. You're learning brand new things. You're seeing things that you've seen in movies that you never thought you'd see, right? That's the kind of thing to me that I'm just like, oh, I want to go see that. I want to do that. Like that looks like fun. I just it
Yep.
looks amazing.
Do you know, real quick, bud, going back to Paris for just a split second, we went into a bookstore that was 600 years old, family owned to this day, generation upon generation.
Wow.
It was
That's
incredible.
amazing.
I mean, it was in freaking incredible. And I knew about this through research. And I knew before we went on the trip, I told my wife and her son and his girlfriend, this was one of the places that I had to go see. And it was worth it.
Wow.
But 600 years old,
That's
family owned.
crazy.
So, like you said, but to that type of thing, you have to acclimate yourself to their culture, to their way of doing things, out of respect, but also because it's a necessity. Because you want to function,
Yes.
you want to be able to get around and do
Absolutely.
things. So it's
Absolutely.
that's a great choice. But as a matter of fact, not to give anything away, but that is also on my list.
Nice. Nice. For sure. Well, moving on then, Mike, we are going up to number 8.
Okay, folks, this one, man, I'd love to go. I don't know if I'll ever get to, and I'd love to go to Africa. I would absolutely love to go to Africa, folks. I remember growing up as a kid and seeing different, documentaries on it, and I'm a huge wildlife person. But kind of touching on your affinity for zoos.
Yeah.
So I just have this
Hmm.
big, and I grew up, folks, watching like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom and those type of things, and American Sportsman with Kurt Gowdy, and they go to all these places, but a lot of it dealt with, with lions and tigers and elephants. And
Oh my.
and, and so I
Oh,
thought, man,
oh my.
if I ever get a chance to do something like that, I want to go. And I've had friends that have gone on safari. I had a friend when I was working for the pharmacy, a pharmacist. He told me a story one time, but when they went to Africa, wherever they were staying at, they woke up one morning, and they were on the second level of this two-story hotel. They woke
Yeah.
up to a giraffe sticking his head through their window. How cool is that? I mean, how cool is that?
I agree. I'm with you.
The
I am
giraffe.
totally with you. I don't want to give too much about this one because when you find out where it is on the list later on, and I dive deeper into this one, I'll explain more as to why I waited until I tell you where it's on my list. But I absolutely love the pick, Mike.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
because
this is great.
and
I'm with you on Africa for sure. I'm totally with you.
yeah,
Absolutely,
and honestly, folks, the country itself has so much more to offer than just its wildlife. I
hundred
mean,
percent.
the history itself is incredible.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
you
like
know,
I said, when we get into mine, I'll kind of dive a little more, like I said, into, like you said, you hear more of the wildlife, you hear things, you don't hear about the other stuff. Like I said, when we get into mine, when it's on my list, guys, I swear I will dig into a little bit more. And maybe some of you know when I bring up what I'm going to talk about with it. You guys might already know and seen this before, but yeah, absolutely love the pick for sure, Mike.
yeah,
I
it's
love
just
it. This is
great
great.
culture, and I've known people that are from Africa, and they're just phenomenal and friendly and embracing, and
Nice.
they just start talking about the country itself, and it just makes you want to go there. So that's just a big one on my list. I don't know if I ever get there; it's a little ways out, but you can always dream.
Obvious. Yeah, yeah, for sure. We'll see. I mean, obviously, like I said, these are our top destinations, guys. Once again, we just kind of want to let everybody know it's not something that we think is the greatest ones or anything like this. Is where we want to go,
Yeah,
what we want to do. It's on our, basically our bucket list, I
yeah.
guess is what you could put it as, type stuff. And I absolutely, like I said, love the pick. I'll get into it more for sure when it comes up on mine. So, but the next for me is, and we already talked about this a little bit, is it's Paris, it's France, right? That's where I'm going. And obviously for me, this is one of those where it's like you'd hit it right on the head, Mike. It's kind of like you went with the wife, right? And for us, it was like that's what I want to do is go with her. That's the big thing. That's it's basically the romantic scenery, right? That's what
Totally.
Paris is. It's that whole that's that you take the wife, you enjoy the time with her, it's the romance, the romantic area. That's what it is. That's exactly what France is. And on top of, like you said, old buildings, just beautiful sights to see out there. I mean, I can only imagine what it would be like to be out there.
Oh, but they don't have grocery stores. They have markets. That's what they have.
Yeah.
Markets. This is what
Hmm.
they have.
Yeah.
And you go to little pubs and these type of places. And I'll tell you what. I'll
Exactly.
tell you what, folks. When we came in that first day, it was cloudy. It was raining. And I'm telling you, but when you're driving down the road, and we wound up staying in an apartment, that we had rented out for the 6 days that we were there, or a flat as they probably call it, but or possibly not. But anyway, but on our way to where we were going to be staying, I'm telling you, when you see the Eiffel Tower for the first time, it's almost like your jaw drops.
Oh, I bet.
And this is something
Yeah.
you see on pictures and on TV.
Yeah,
And
that's what I said. It's like
standing
you
on.
you don't you wonder, right? You wonder, is this real? Or is it just in a movie? Like they just throw it in a background on a green screen and they made it up, they drew it.
And then
Is it for real?
when you take the elevator up to the very top of the Eiffel Tower and you come out for the first time, it is just absolutely mind blowing. I mean, it's
Oh, I
just
bet.
incredible, folks. If you ever get a chance, Paris lives up to the hype. Anthony's talking about. You can tell how hyped he is to hopefully get over there someday with his wife and family and see some of these things. I'm telling you what, folks. If you get a chance, as I've told many other people, go see Paris. It is worth it, worth it, worth it.
Definitely. I agree. Totally. Totally. I feel like we can go on for hours about Paris and
Oh,
France
sure.
and stuff like that. So we
City
better
Lights.
move on to number 7 for you, Mike, before we get too crazy on it.
Yeah, again, folks, I'm going to drift back to my fascination with islands, and I'll tell you what, Bora Bora, I became familiar with this. A lot of these I did actually became familiar with, if not through books, obviously, through movies or TV shows. Bora Bora had this. There was this theme at times. If there was an island situation going on, if it wasn't like Hawaii, there's Bora Bora or Tahiti or something like that. But I saw enough. I saw enough visuals of Bora Bora with the clear water and the beaches and the bungalows and that type of thing, and these little getaways that you could go to. And I just thought to myself, man, I literally at one point in time, but I contemplated before I ever got married. I never told you this. I contemplated just booking a trip by myself and just going to Bora Bora and staying for like 4 days. And I was very close to getting it all booked.
Oh, that Bora Bora, right? It's that place where it's just you go,
But you
you
can
turn
go with
off the
somebody.
phone. No, but yeah, well, it's one of those two, right? It's where you can go by yourself if you want to, but if you take somebody else, but it's that whole seclude yourself, turn
Yes.
off the phone, just get out, enjoy the water, enjoy the sun, enjoy the beach wherever you're at. Just enjoy the beautiful scenery, the fresh air. That's what Bora Bora
Like I
is,
said,
right? You
but
just seclude yourself from everything. You're not around a bunch of people. It's your island. You're just there to ease your mind, just relax.
drop the laptop, put down the cell
Oh yeah.
phone, and just go and experience peace, serenity, beautiful sunrises, sunsets, all this stuff. I mean, how can you top that? I mean, well, here's the caveat to that. These are the kind of places that you go to, but man, you sure don't want to come back. I haven't even been to Bora Bora, folks, and I don't want to come back.
It's true, right? That's the other bad part, right? Especially you go on vacation, you go to some of these places, you do some of those things, and you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta go back. And sometimes, like say you go out there and you're thinking, oh, I'm out there for, sometimes you tell people, how long are you out there? Oh, I'm out there for a week. Oh, you're out there for a little while, but that week turns into about 2 days, right?
Oh man,
That's what it feels like.
it blows by. It is gone in like that. I mean, it's
Exactly.
gone.
It's just like the weekends now,
Oh,
right? It's just like the weekends now. So for me, moving on, number 7, like I said, I was going to bring this up possibly today, guys, but it would be San Diego. But the main reason only is the San Diego Zoo. I have never been to the San Diego Zoo. Obviously, I get it, guys. There's a lot of other stuff in San Diego that is nice to see. But for me, the main reason, like for me to get there, if I could take especially my kids, they love the zoo just as much as I do. I mean, and I'm just as much as a kid when we all there. We're all of us, all four of us here. We love the zoo. We love being around the animals, and obviously it's the world famous San Diego Zoo. Obviously, it's humongous from what I hear. I mean, it's beautiful there too. Mike, I don't know if you've been there before. Maybe kind of let people know a little bit about it, but for me, I mean, some of these places, not just something that I want to get to myself or, take the wife, but even if there's something we could do as a family, like that's vacation to me. It's not just showing up there by myself on a secluded island, being there alone. I have my family now. So I also want to have places where my kids can enjoy, them growing up saying, hey, I was able to get to here, or I was able to do this and that. But definitely San Diego is one of those, because of the zoo and how big we are on zoos, that I would love to get out there and check that one out.
Yeah, I've been to San Diego. It's been a minute, so to speak, as they say. This goes back. Well, this is long before San Diego Padres built the stadium down in the middle of the downtown area, that type of thing, folks. But,
okay, yeah.
So this goes back a ways, but even back, oh crap, but I was probably back there in the 80s, something like that. But a beautiful, beautiful city. And I'll tell you what, and this also applies to one other area. And when I talk about walking along the docks and the piers and that type of thing, and you look out and you've got the yachts and these type of things that dot the areas along the coastline. It's just a cool look. And at the time anyway, things changed, but at that particular point in time, but I've talked to people that have been since I was out there, how clean San Diego was for a city. And they were correct. When I was out there, it was a beautiful city. My wife has been out there. Your mom and dad have been out there. So it's a nice place to visit. There's some good food out there. I would recommend, if anybody has a chance, to go visit San Diego. I think it's one of the prettier cities that California has to offer. The other one I was going to mention, for the type of, to go and experience seafood and walking along the piers and the docks and the stores, is Seattle. Believe it or not, beautiful city, beautiful city. But San Diego has that effect too. Just a wonderful city. I came away with just a lasting impression of what I got to see, and some of the people. I love to talk to people, interact and mingle, so to speak. And I just came away with a wonderful time out there. And like Bud said, this is a place that you can afford to go to at some point. It doesn't have to be this impossible dream. Like
and I honestly, for me, and like I said, this isn't one of the two that I even said will be there, because honestly, in my opinion, I feel like we will be there someday. I mean, eventually we will be. I'm going to get these kids there, no matter what it has to be. I mean, I think we will. I mean, within probably the next 5 to 6 years maybe or so, I think we can get out there for sure.
SeaWorld, obviously the zoo, that type of thing, but just a lot of places to see and do. So that's a great choice, bud.
For sure. Well, moving on, Mike, we are going up to number 6 now.
Folks, again, became fascinated with the country of Ireland, just the country. I've seen so many documentaries, I've seen movies that offer me a visual understanding of what Ireland looked like and what it has to offer. I don't know if I've ever known anybody from the country itself, unless it was just through watching interviews on TV or on documentaries, that type of thing. But if you look at Ireland from a visual perspective, in the stone that they utilize, sometimes it separates properties, and just some of the architectural foundations that you can see throughout the country itself. It has a real throwback feel, so to speak.
Oh, it's got that old medieval time type stuff out there.
That's a perfect statement right there, bud. Perfect statement. It has that medieval, like knights, almost like Knights of the Round Table type feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost
100%.
It takes you back in time. You go into these little villages that people don't. I mean, population 300, whatever it may be. But everybody knows everybody because they all congregate at the little pub. I mean, how?
Yeah, exactly.
But but they're a tight knit group and they're very defensive of their little communities. But the countryside itself, I don't think I've seen a greener country, in my entire life. And I mean, without, I'm not talking about being there, obviously, but just from watching on TV and these types of things, it's like insane.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
For me, Ireland, I mean, it's got that old school feeling. So it's not one of those places that for me, like, I don't know if I could. I mean, I think I would personally enjoy it. To kind of, I like kind of some of that old time stuff. Everyone, to kind of like the history. Hear old history like that. I kind of like it more. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's got that weird feeling. I feel like for me, it's just like it's another one of those places where are these buildings really for real? Is it true? Do
Six,
they
7,
actually look
800
like
years
that? Are they
old.
that old? And are they that old? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They were that old and they're still standing. They're still able to live in. Like, that's cool to see, right? I mean, that's absolutely amazing because nowadays, what is it? Everything now is getting built, right? New condos everywhere, new apartments everywhere, all this stuff. And out in these places, it's like, no, I mean, this place is still standing since, for
Craftsmanship.
hundreds and hundreds of years and stuff. You know what I mean? So it would be really cool to see. I totally agree with
Yeah,
you on that.
craftsmanship. Love it. I'd love to go there someday. Hope we can.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that'd be nice. For me, moving on number 6, Australia is on the list for me. Australia used to be higher, definitely, but it's kind of dropped a little more for me, only because it's kind of in that realm now of I don't know if I'll ever be able to get there, but still top of the list for me, almost in my top 5. For me, I obviously always kind of affiliate Australia with like the wildlife too, the kangaroos and type stuff like that. I would love to just be able to go around running out there like in middle of wherever they're at and just run around with some kangaroos, things like that, just have fun. But on top of that, it's beautiful there too, right? I mean, it's absolutely beautiful in Australia. Like I said, it's one of those places where I used to really, it would be high on my list, top 3 for sure. But because of the fact that I just don't think I could ever get there, or as far as away as it is, I just don't know
15-hour flight.
how I know. I'm just like, holy crap! I don't know if I could ever actually do it for sure. But no, definitely still on the list. And if I ever got a chance to, somebody flies me out there, or I get on there for some weird reason, or am able to, and just say, you know what, I can do it. I'll definitely go.
I'll tell you a funny story. The first time, I can't remember when this was exactly, and probably was on a TV show or something like that. The very first time I ever heard an Australian accent or dialect, however you want to put it, that was the coolest.
Crocodile Dundee.
That was the coolest thing I had ever heard in my life. I said, I want to give up speaking English. I want to give up my American accent, and I want to speak Australian. I want to sound like a.
Remember the old Foster's beer commercials? The Australian for beer.
Yeah,
It's like
Crocodile Dundee and all that stuff,
Yeah.
everything like that. But I'll tell you,
Nick Dundee from Australia.
interesting side stat, so to speak. At one point in time, long before I ever got together with my wife, the women in the country of Australia outnumbered the men 10-1.
Oh,
So
really?
if you were a male down there, and obviously you're looking to find somebody, the percentages are working in your favor.
That gives a whole new meaning to that. Plenty of fish in the sea, huh?
Yeah. I'll say this though, and real quick, this Australia is on my list, but I won't tell where yet. They have some of the most bizarre insects I've ever seen in my entire life, bud.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm going to tell you, folks.
See, and that's the other thing with some of these going to some of these other countries. Sometimes you're like, what could I possibly run into though? Also,
man.
right?
I'll tell you what.
What could I
would go to Australia in a heartbeat, folks. I really would. But when you see some of the insects,
I bet,
that populate this country,
I bet,
right up inside your homes,
Yep.
You're like, okay, time out on the enthusiasm. But like I told my wife, because she told me, we're not going. You can forget it. She saw a spider on the wall. She said, that's it. We're not going. I said, with the odds that we're gonna come across a spider that big, isn't gonna happen. So you gotta put that aside and just go and enjoy the trip. But I'd love to go over. It's a pricey trip. It's a long trip. But, but Australia is just man, I'd love to go and just see a kangaroo.
For sure. I agree. I totally agree. I agree with you for sure. So moving on, Mike, we are now top 5 now. What is your number 5?
Let me make sure I get this right for you folks. Yes. So number 5 is Italy. Obviously one of the easiest countries to pick out on a global map because it's shaped like a boot. So that's one of the first countries I could identify. I could identify the United States and Italy. Those are my two.
I thought you were talking about Louisiana. Isn't Louisiana built like a boot?
But You know, my dad, he fascinated me with this because I had seen shows, right, movies, where you take the gondolas and you basically you're just drifting there's through the city on gondolas, literally through the city in water on the ocean through the
Yeah.
city, and I thought, man, is this real? And I come to find out, I'm talking to my dad because he was in the military, and he was stationed everywhere. That he was in Italy, and he talked about that, and he said, yeah, it was phenomenal. He said, just the way the city was set up or set up. He said the food was phenomenal, and just the people were very, accommodating, and a lot of history. But again, it's a place that you can whether you want to go to Florence, Italy, or just whatever your destination choice would be. Obviously, another terrific wine country. Um, but it's a place where I'd like to experience the whole country, not just
Yeah.
select cities. I'd like to have a chance to
Exactly.
just venture out and see everything because the country itself, from what I've seen and from the people I have talked to that have been, it has so much to offer.
Yeah.
Is a total experience.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Italy did not make my list, but I could definitely see that for sure, Mike.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's just another one of those places where, like you said, and it just I keep coming back to it, but it's just is it real? Is it what's it really like there? And then obviously Italy, like you said, it's kind of one of those places where you feel like you have to go at some point in time. It's one of those where it's like you got to get there sometime and you got to check it out, right? That's what Italy is. Like you just feel like you hear all this stuff about, oh, this comes from Italy, or this is from Italy. You got to check out this out there if you get out there. And it's like you hear so much about it that you just feel like, man, eventually I got to get out there. Like it's almost peer pressure, right? To that point, it's
Yeah.
like they keep pressuring me to go. I got to get out there.
And I, when you're a foodie, like, I can be sometimes, I like
Yeah.
different things. I mean, I can't imagine going to this country. If you're
And
going to
eating
this
all that
country,
Italian
if
food.
you go to this
Whew.
country and you opt
Whew.
to go to McDonald's or Burger King, well, then shame on you. They should revoke your visa, your passport, and kick you out. If you're not going to
See,
sample the cuisine, then get out.
and see that's the other thing, right? That's where I was gonna get to next with the talking about Italy is just and some of the other places, food, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, you don't have to, and that's like I'm saying, right? You can go to Vegas, you can go to
Yeah.
other states and say, yeah, let me run and go to this restaurant or go to In and Out if you're in Vegas. All these places you can go get those. But you're talking about Italy, right? You're gonna sit in some restaurant, you're gonna order some sort of spaghetti, some sort of a pasta that you like, and be like, "This is a difference from me, boiling up some freaking noodles and throwing my
you,
Prego pasta or whatever sauce
you
on top
butter,
of it
you butter
with
ragu.
some rolled up meat, rolls or meatballs." They're gonna give you the top of the line, right? Like that's where we get to, right? You got to eat the food there. That's the other big part. You got to, and Italy is for me that's huge because I'm a big Italian fan. I love pizza. I love spaghetti. I love all that stuff. So I would absolutely love to just go there and be like, yeah, well, show me the food. Just show me the food.
Part of your purpose to go to Italy, part of it has to be like Anthony's saying, to sample the food. That has to be part
Absolutely.
of your purpose for going. And not
Absolutely.
just the history and everything else. It's I'm going to sample their food offerings. Because otherwise, it's really you're defeating the purpose. You have to sample food.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. Totally. Well, moving on for me, number 5 is Cancun, Mexico. Um, for me, this is kind of one of those where it's I'm kind of bringing out a little more of my younger side at this point, where Cancun's that getaway that kind of have a little bit more of a party time, have fun. But it's one of those where it's not the crazy party where you're going downtown, right, and you're getting crazy, and it's just your whole just get drunk and have fun. No, these are like these. Cancun's one of those where you can enjoy that outside nightlife where you're having fun, having drinks, just enjoying the music and the vibe with people around you, or you can find yourself sitting out on the beach and just enjoying that relaxing time, that chilling out, out there type stuff too, because it's beautiful out there too.
Didn't your
So
sister?
it's got a dual purpose out there, right? When you're doing Cancun,
Didn't your sister go there?
I think she did. I think
Yeah.
she was out there. I think she did a cruise to Cancun. Honestly,
Yeah.
I believe so. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, she did.
Yeah, yeah, and I haven't been there either. But again, it's a place I'm familiar with through people who have been there on vacations. Some people that
Yeah.
They go down once a year through timeshares and that type of thing. But again, like you're talking about, it's a place that has a lot of activities to offer, whether it's just venturing out and and experiencing the culture, the landscape, so to speak, of the country itself, or just the beaches. I mean, you're not lacking for activities if you want to go down there, and you're not lacking if you just want to go and hang out and enjoy a great time on the beach and just kick back for a couple of days and just take in the sun and the ocean,
For
those type of
sure.
things. I mean, and from what I've been told, it's not insanely priced, depending on
Oh
how you
yeah,
go down for. So again, folks, maybe one of those places
yeah,
that you could say, yeah, maybe we could do that because that can be a little bit that can be doable, so to speak.
I agree.
I
Totally.
like the choice too, but I
Absolutely.
like it a lot.
All right, moving on. What is your number 4?
All right. So as a matter of fact, this goes back to, and I won't speak on this one very much as because Anthony already talked on it. Again, London, England, and really like what Anthony was talking about before. You see so many shows and movies and things like that that you can't help but wonder what it would be like to just experience the city itself
For
on
sure.
a daily basis. It was fascinating to me because I don't know if they still call their police officers bobbies, but they were referred to as bobbies at one point.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know where the term comes from,
I wonder what. Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder what the reason is for
but
that.
they had these absolutely cool. I don't know if you ever saw them in a movie. These old phone booths. They were like red walk-ins.
Oh yeah, the
Phone
red.
booths.
Yeah.
And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
and this is the thing. I was so fascinated by those. It's like I wanted to get one and just put it in my house. I just wanted to have it as like this historic piece to have. I was like, how cool would that be to have that?
Oh
Just
yeah.
like if you have one of those old gas pumps from the 50s or something like that, stick it out in your yard in your garage as a collection piece. But one of those phone booths I thought would be too cool. But I'm fascinated by their sound, their dialect. And I
Oh
thought,
yeah. And then their culture, like how do people act like differently? Obviously you wonder what it's like from being here and you're around people in Colorado all the time, and then you go to London. Like you're not talking about, for like I said, like another state. You're going to another country. How do they live their life? How do they drive? How are the people? Are they just as nice out there? Are they even meaner out there? You don't know, right? But that's the whole point of going to do something like that. You learn another culture. You learn a whole other country like that. Like you don't just go to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna go look at that and I call it a day or something like that. That's the whole point of traveling. That's the whole point of vacation time, is to learn about other
yeah,
things like that. See how people live, how other things are like
yeah, speak
outside
of
of
them, talk to
where
them.
you live or what things are.
Yeah, speak to them, talk to them. I mean, like I told you, Paris was fascinating because you go down to the market and the process to purchasing groceries and things like that was completely different. I went over there real quick with the idea that, the apartment we were staying in was just going to be go down to the market and go pick up some coffee. We're going to have a Keurig. We're going to get some coffee. Ain't the way it works over there in Paris. You do the grounds, that type of thing. So like Anthony's
Yeah,
talking about, culture shock is a real thing, but in a positive
yeah,
way. You learn so much about how people live, and it gives you an
absolutely,
appreciation both ways for what we have here and what they have there. So, was a
definitely.
great point, but
Definitely, definitely. No, great one, Mike, for sure. Nice to see we both have that on there, definitely. So nice to see we have a couple of them that are the same
no, no,
on here. For me, number 4 is Hawaii. We've talked about this already. Obviously, Mike brought up just Maui, but I don't care. Just send me somewhere Hawaii, somewhere nice. You just see those palm trees, like he had said, and just being out there on the water, seeing that stuff, the beaches. Absolutely love. This is one of those guys that I said if I could get to in my lifetime, I would love it. And it's one of those where I believe it's doable. It could happen. Obviously, it's one of those it's a once in a lifetime thing for me. I know if I go, it's going to be one time only, so I'd have to enjoy it. But I would love, absolutely love. This is one of the two that I said, if I could get there and do it, I would love to have that done in my lifetime. It's a great vacation getaway. You could take the kids or you could just take the wife. It doesn't matter. It goes for both of them, right? But absolutely love it. It's beautiful. I mean, like I said, and hopefully it's doable, and hopefully I can sometime get there to check it out for sure.
I'll tell you what. Folks, I'm from North Carolina originally, and I say this because I made a trip back one time for the first time in like 20 years. I went back. I didn't stay with my relatives because I didn't want to impose, so I stayed at a beach or a beach hotel. One of the coolest aspects of this, and this is what I envision with Hawaii, Maui, those type of things. But But the place I rented, this was early September, but it's still nice weather in Carolina at that time. You have to worry about
Yeah.
hurricanes, but I caught a break. One of the coolest things, folks, is to have a place on a beach where your doors to your bedroom, basically, or you could living room, whatever, but opens up out to where you're facing the beach, right? You got
Wow.
a hammock, you got the breeze coming in from the ocean. I'm telling you what, folks, this you can't even describe what this feels like if everything is right. And if you're sleeping and you got that breeze coming in, it's insane. So
Oh,
my
I
my
bet.
my my visions of Maui and Hawaii were this kind of thing, bud. Walking out from your bedroom onto a patio, you look
Hmm.
out, there are two big palm trees right there, a couple of coconuts hanging.
You just hear the
You
birds
got
and
the
the water
Yeah, you
running
got the
through and
ocean
everything.
crashing
Oh,
against the
that,
beach. I mean, that's
yeah,
insane. That
yeah.
would put me
I'm
right out.
with you.
That'd be like me overdosing on a box of no-dos.
See, and then that's the scary part, right? 'Cause then I go in up there, and then I'm like, you know what? We ain't coming back. We're not. We should start looking for real estate or something. Or you guys got an agent? You guys look, or you
No,
guys recommend?
my thought was to get onto the beach and homestead, and just if I prove I'm homesteading, they can't kick me out.
Right? No, for sure. I mean, and that's the thing, right? We get into the deeper in these lists. It's more of these places where it's like at the top of the list. It's like if we can go, if it can actually happen, we're going, we're doing it. I hope I can get there. It's top of the list. Like if somebody gives me the ticket to say here, you're going here. It's your number one on your list. Boom, I'm gone. Like I'm out. If I can do it, I can do it. Right?
Yeah,
You want to. So there's a lot more to it. So like moving on now, Mike. Obviously we're into our top three. So what is number three for you then?
number three, and I got a lot of this again. I'm not going to repeat much, as far as like how this comes about, TV, movies, blah blah blah. But again, a lot of what I took from this when I first became familiar with Switzerland was my dad coming back from the military. And I think the first time, because my dad was a photographer, so he did a lot of things with photography and slides. And so he came back from one of his trips, and he'd been overseas for like 6 months to a year. But one of the places he was in was Switzerland. And as a matter of
Nice.
fact, he was at one point he made his way to one of their biggest attractions is called the Matterhorn. It's a big mountain
Yeah.
area in Switzerland. And the Alps as a whole are just a big tourist attraction and little villages. But my dad brought back all these pictures, these slides of Switzerland, and I absolutely fell in love with the place. He showed me
Oh,
pictures of these
wow.
little towns, these little villages, and I was fascinated by how the houses were constructed. And he was talking about the small populations of people and the food and this type of thing.
Interesting.
And just to see how and he had different seasons, in his slides. I think it was spring, winter, and probably a little bit of summer. But anyway, just
Okay.
to see the transition of the colors was incredible, and the snow on the
Wow.
on the on the mountaintops. And like I said, I've seen videos. I've talked to other people that have been, and like Anthony just mentioned, boy, somebody said, Mike, here's a couple of tickets. You can go whenever you'd like. I tell my wife, you got time, I got time. I'm calling the plane flight right now. We're out of here. We're getting on it. We're packing our bags and we're gone. I would love
Yeah,
to go to Switzerland.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you, Mike. So for me, Switzerland's never really been appealing to me. But the more you kind of explain it to me, I can understand why. Like I've never looked up Switzerland. I don't really know a lot about Switzerland or anything like that. But the way you kind of put it, way you see some pictures of it and this that. I mean, it does look beautiful. I mean, it looks like a lot of green, but a lot of snow too, and it kind of just mixed well together, right? Those two together just kind of mix well in these countries that we talk about that not a lot of people maybe go to or know a lot about and things like that. But no, perfect one, Mike. I like the pick for sure. Obviously, there's stuff you've seen that you would obviously be into if you were able to get there.
Yeah.
So hopefully someday you can get there. Who knows? I mean, like I said, we're hoping. We're
Yeah.
hoping, right? These
We're hoping,
ones
folks. We're hoping.
well, for me, I feel like mine will happen. I mean, unless something crazy does happen, I am gonna be hopefully everything plays its cards right for us. We're going to Disney World. I have
Okay,
not been to Disney
nice.
World. I have
Okay.
been to Disneyland, but obviously this goes back to the kids for me. I got to get my kids there, especially with my son, all the stuff that he's had to deal with, and hopefully at the end of this month we get through a lot of other stuff. So fingers crossed on that. If everything's good on that, then we're gonna start. That's the next thing on the agenda is boom. We're shooting for Disney World. We're getting out there. I mean, I like I said, I've been to Disneyland. Obviously, for me at the time when I was there, Disneyland wasn't as fun for me. It was a little bit more for the younger ages. and Universal was mostly for the older ones. But obviously, from what I've heard from Disney World and Universal's out there, they're about the same for them. It's at any ages, it's perfect. I mean, obviously, we all know Disney World's a little bit better of the two. So I'm gonna get the kids out there. We should be out there. I hope we have a blast with it. I don't see why we wouldn't. I mean, it's Disney, right? I mean, how do you not have fun at Disney?
I've never been to either one, and actually, surprisingly, I guess maybe I'm in the minority here. I've never been really fascinated by the two parks, and in part because I know they get so crowded sometimes.
Oh yeah,
But that comes with any place you go to, Six Flags, the deal. But I will say this: that if I had to pick one of the two to go to, the one I would want to go to is Disney World.
Yeah.
In part because I'm not a big California person per se, so folks don't get upset. Yep. But California's got some positives. But Florida is nicer, but Disney World just seems to have more to offer for all ages, and no pun intended. But it really does. I mean, you've got if you like comics, if you like Harry Potter, I mean, it's all these different things. Obviously,
they got everything out there. Yeah,
you can stay in hotels on site, obviously, and just have a great time. And there's so many different themed ideas that people can do, and it sounds like it's incredible.
And then the other nice thing is that where Disney World, if I'm not mistaken, where everything is on there, you're actually not that far either from the beaches and stuff. So you have your fun time out with the kids. You get them out there and that, and then if you can, get back to the hotel or something. If you have maybe another family member with you that keep the kids, then you say, hey, let's go hang out on the beach. Let's take the drive out there. Let's go relax on the beach, things like that. You're in that same area, right? So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. That may be something we could do. Maybe I kill two birds with one stone, go to Disney World, and find out to go to Miami. Same time, I can kill two birds with one stone.
Hey, why not? But I like the choice. But I do think, even though I haven't done it, I still think it's something that everybody should experience at least one time.
Definitely. Hopefully everybody can. And if you guys have been there, let us know, guys, how it is, the experience. And if you've been there recently, let us know how it is, because I'm hoping, like I said, within the next year or two to get my kids out there to have them check it out and stuff. So let us know how it is.
Let us know, folks.
Number 2, Mike, what do we got going on for you?
I've been fascinated with this country since I was very, very small, again, partly through my dad. I'm not exactly sure why Japan just absolutely fascinates me so much. I think it's because, and things change over the decades, but there was a tradition attached to the culture of Japan that seemed to be passed on from generation to generation. When I was growing up, it seemed like, if you went over there, a lot of the kids, I mean, when they went to school, they all had to wear uniforms and that type of thing. And, but I was just fascinated by listening to them speak. The culture, I've sampled, the Americanized offering of Japanese food, but I thought, well, if this is appealing, which it is to me, I can only imagine what, sampling the real thing would be like in Japan. And obviously I'd like to travel to a place like Tokyo. I just like the size of a city like Tokyo, almost like Paris, would be just such a curiosity for me. And that was what was a struggle to get around Paris, was the size. But I can imagine the same effect with Japan. But when you see a woman in a kimono and things like that, and all the decorations that can be attached to their traditions and how they present themselves for certain ceremonies and things like that, it fascinates me. And when you see a country populated and just littered with cherry blossom trees, and this type of, and it's phenomenal when you see sites like this, and obviously Mount Fuji, which I would love to see. But there's just so much of Japan I would like to sample. And if I went, my wife and I went, I would love to be able to go for at least a week. I feel like you'd have to have.
I feel like you have to. I mean, at least.
Yeah.
At least
6 days in Paris really wasn't enough, and so I bet. To go to Japan, you got to have at least a week, a solid week, and just go sample what every aspect of the country has to offer.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Japan's just intimidating to me. It's not on my list because it's just intimidating. I mean, because I get where because like they have the other areas, like you said, going to like Mount Fuji where it's a little less cluttered and stuff. But like you see all those, like when you're in the heart of downtown out there, and you just got these crazy buildings everywhere, people flying around, and you see how they're driving out there. I mean, I'll tell you what, that's one thing, I ain't driving out there, right? You don't drive unless you've lived out there for a while to figure that out. You don't just pick up a car like you go to Enterprise and grab a car real quick and just run out there, because Oh my gosh! I mean, that's crazy. So, like I said, I think it would be great. Like if I ever got a chance to go out there, like I said, it's not on my list. But if somebody gave me a chance to go, I'm not passing it up for sure. But for me, it's just the reason it's on my list because it just intimidates me when you look at it. It's just plus on top of that, I just feel like you know some of these other places we've talked about, like excuse me, the Londons, the France, Italy, things like that. At least they can kind of a lot of them speak English and stuff like that, right? So you can kind of explain yourself a little more. Sometimes I feel like out there, man, that language barrier, unless you try to figure it out, you have somebody translator, like you're gonna get kind of stuck. So it's kind of cool in a way because you're out there and you're just trying to figure it all out. So that kind of makes the fun part of the adventure of the vacation, just trying to figure it all out. But at the same time, like I said, it's just kind of intimidating.
And not
For
only
me.
that, but and I thought I'm right there with you because when we were in Paris, there were enough people that spoke English that you could navigate and get around.
Yeah.
And still there were some struggles, right? But like you're saying, I mean, that was one of my hesitations was, but you get over to Japan and everything basically is going to be in Japanese except the Coca-Cola sign or the Pepsi sign or the McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you start talking to people or attempting, and I know the phones all have translation devices now and everything, but it's still intimidating because you still got to navigate around and try to make everything work. And so while it'd be exciting, like Anthony's saying, man, that's a daunting, intimidating thought process. But I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd absolutely do it in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it, Mike. Love it for sure. Me, number two, this is the second one I said I would absolutely love if I can get there, and it's on my list. It's the second one out there that if I can get there, if I could do it, I would be absolutely happy along with the Hawaii. It's Alaska.
Yeah.
And let me explain something to you about Alaska and these my top one and two. So I don't know if you're familiar with Dude Perfect, Mike. Are you
Dude,
with those guys?
what is it?
They're YouTubers that just
No.
basically do a lot of like trick shots and things like that, and
These were
like
these were the
it's sports related
right?
and stuff. What's
Were
that?
these the bowling ball guys?
I did send you a video with the bowling ball. Yeah, those
Okay, that
guys.
is okay. Okay.
So what they did is they started doing these, as you know, outside of doing their trick shots and all, they started doing what was called bucket lists, and they would go to certain places that they wanted to go on their bucket list. Um, this one was on the bucket list, so I would have never known. Like if somebody asked me, obviously I'm in the United States, I could probably go to Alaska. When you think about Alaska, it's just always dark there, right? That's all you ever hear. It's just dark. It's dark all the time. This and that, right? Whatever. So be it. So you're not enticed by it until I watched their documentary they put about going to Alaska, and I'm talking like in the glaciers, like doing the what do they call that? God, I'm drawing a blank on it, and I just seen it too. But you know they're climbing, they're ice climbing. So they're climbing up the glaciers. They're going deep into some of the glaciers. There's a video of them when they're doing some fishing where they're out into this body of water out there, and the guy's like, okay, now they grab their cups and they put the cups in the water and they drank directly. He said this is one of the only places really you can do this from. Clear. I mean, they show the cup. It's clear water. They're drinking. It's like this is amazing. Like the scenery, the
Yes.
beautifulness of it. They went rafting out there. Like I said, the glacier of ice climbing, things like that. To the fishing, like the amount of fish you can catch out there, everything's just beautiful. And so the fact that it's in the United States, it's probably not that crazy to get out there.
No.
I'm also, for me, when it comes to vacation, I'm a scenery guy. Like we talk, I'm that guy when I go on vacation, I like to just relax. Like I'm with you, like the Bora Bora thing. Sit down somewhere, relax, just enjoy the time. Like I'm not really the whole keep going, like try to stay busy, do this and that, and you know we got to go there, we got to get this. I like sometimes the vacation where you just go and enjoy a scenery. You're looking at the mountains, you're looking at, you do a little bit of hiking maybe to get up top somewhere to kind of see what it looks like down below. That's what Alaska is for me, and I would absolutely love to get out there after I watch it. And I'll you know what? I'm gonna send you that link too.
Okay.
And they're about a half an hour that they do of each one, and my number one is also their bucket list they did too.
Interesting.
So there's two ones, and I'll explain more when we get into that. But yeah, Alaska for me is my number two, and I hope I can hopefully get out there.
Yeah, Alaska is not on my list, folks, but I would not hesitate to go to Alaska if given the opportunity. Again, I refer back to my dad and his personal experiences, with his military travels, and going to Alaska was one of them. The story he offered to me from Alaska, real quick. My dad, big fisherman growing up, lake fishing, not so much ocean fishing, but he loved to fish. But he did, when he was up in Alaska, he specifically wanted to fish for salmon. So he
Yep,
got out.
and they have a lot.
He got out one day, and I don't know how long he'd been out there. He did finally hook one. 2 hours into the process of trying to reel the salmon in, 2 hours, the
Wow.
line snapped. A
Oh my
line
God.
snapped. 2 hours.
Wow.
But his point, but it was worth it to him because of the experience. Like we're talking about, the experience. We're not going to experience salmon
Yeah.
fishing in Mississippi or Colorado. You know what I'm saying? Something
Exactly.
like Anthony's saying.
Absolutely.
This is what you go to Alaska for. You go to see grizzlies in the wild because you're never going to see
Yes.
this large a collection of grizzlies that close up. You're not.
Oh, in that video, there's a video where they go to where their fishing spot is. I mean, they could see it. They literally fly into it, and you can see it from the helicopter that they're flying in. You can see the fish. That's how, for one, how clear the water is too. That's how beautiful it is, and you can just see the fish scattering around. And then when they dropped them off where they were doing their fishing, literally there was some bears right there by. So they're like, you guys tell me, like, just keep your head on a swivel out here, because they're like, oh, we're gonna fish while there's just a couple of bears just kind of chilling around out here.
Yeah, I mean, you can take trips to where you're going to stay, or the only way to get to them is by, like Anthony's talking about, by plane. They have to take you in, they have to take you out. That's how remote these places are. But again, it's but you can also take cruises. My wife and I talked about a cruise up along on the coast,
Yeah.
up into Alaska.
Yep, exactly.
To your point, but to see the glaciers and to see some of
Yep.
these things, say with the orcas and those type of things. I mean, these are things that you just can't experience just only in select areas. And Alaska has so much to offer. I can't even imagine being on a ship or a yacht or a boat or whatever, and you're just in some area of the ocean, and here's a glacier, and while you're standing there, a part of it falls off into the water. How cool would that be?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
that's insane. But yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to go, but that's a phenomenal choice.
Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, guys, it's that time. Our number one spot here, Mike. What do you have?
Well, folks, I'm going to touch on one that Anthony mentioned earlier. I have forever been fascinated by this country, and that's Australia. Again, the accents, oh man, I just want to be able. For a while when I first heard, that's all I want to do is go around and say, "Good day, mate. Good day, mate."
I mean,
you know,
I get it.
shrimp on
I
the
get it.
bobby, even though there's not really a shrimp on the bobby, that type of thing. But I'd go around saying, "Good day, mate. Good day, mate." But it just seems like, if you could get out to the outer areas of the cities like Sydney and those type of places, and experience the mountainous areas have to offer, and those type of things, it would be unbelievable. The kangaroos in the wild, and the koalas, and everything else they have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing for me, I remember when I first kind of saw more of Australia was actually when they had the Olympics in Sydney.
Yes.
Obviously when you're watching them, because I watched that whole Olympics pretty much, and so every time come back from a commercial or something, they pan to somewhere else, right? And so when you're looking at it, you're like, man, that's kind of cool. And when the Olympics were here, or when the Olympics were in Sydney, I don't remember how old I was still pretty young. So that at that age, I'm like, man, that's kind of cool. Like, that's where in Australia, like, oh man, like that would be kind of cool to go see. That'd be kind of cool to check out. And so that's why it had always been on part, like, at top of my list. Is I didn't see it from anywhere else. It was from the Olympics. That's where I seen most of it. It's like, man, that's kind of cool. Then you kind of look more things up as you go, or you hear more things about Australia. And I mean, absolutely, Mike, I'm with you. Like I said, it used to be higher, but like I said, these other ones that I've kind of explained as to why they're higher and things like that. I if not, Australia might have been 1, 2, or 3 for me at this point. But eventually, if I could get out there, like I said, the other thing is too that flight has to be insane. Like I said, 15 hours. I mean, I don't know how you could sit on a plane for that long. I don't know.
I know, that's why I can't imagine. Like when we watch these games where the NFL teams, they go to England or they go to Germany, they go to Australia, these type of places, and you got to go take that long flight just to go out there, play a football game, and then fly all the way back. And I'm like, man, that's got to be.
And what if you're that losing team, right? That's even worse. That's even worse.
And I don't know if I could be up for that. But I tell you what, if Australia ever comes up, I'm gone. I'm out.
Definitely, 100%. 100%. Well, and same for me. First one, if it ever comes up, but it's South Africa for me. Like I said, they did a bucket list, and I'm not kidding. Like, I mean, maybe it's mostly because of maybe they should obviously give the credit to their editors on these videos, but I'm not kidding. Watching what you can do, and we talked about this, and this is what I wanted to bring up. When you hear about South Africa, you just you think more of just, oh, it's just like deserts and wildlife. That's all you ever see, or you just see whatever you see on
No,
TV,
it's
right?
not.
There is so much more to this place. They went paragliding there.
Oh,
They one of the guys went off of the, I believe he said it was the second highest bungee he was like, it was like 715 feet he dropped for bungee
God.
cord jumping. He did that. One guy went to the highest pier, or highest mountain atop, and just rappelled off of it. That was another thing. And then on top of that, that's the cool part about being in the city doing that other stuff. Then what I would want to do, what I would absolutely love, and they show the scene, is these guys are traveling around in the desert in a Jeep, just taking pictures of whatever wildlife they see. And oh my God, the wildlife, because for me, it's like, right, like we see the animal, we go to the zoo. We can go, I mean, if I want to go see a lion, I want to go see a tiger, I can go to the zoo. I can say, look
But it's not the same.
through a glass. There's a difference between them watching us look through them in glass and seeing them in their own habitat, what they do, the actual size of them, how they interact when they see you. Because at that point, it's like you're not just through a glass window anymore. Like now you're in their territory. You got to see how they react, how things are, and on top of that, it's just beautiful to see though. Like that's an animal. That's a lion right there. That's a Cape buffalo that's out there. Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think that would be the absolute most greatest thing in the world, to just be out there and driving around and just seeing these animals in their habitat and see how they are.
Yeah, and you'd see some of the jungles and that type of thing, and obviously just what the country has to offer as a whole. I can remember I mentioned earlier, folks, watching like the old Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, that type of thing. And one of the things I really wanted to do when I was a kid, and it was about going on safari. And because at that point in time, that's all I knew is I want to go on safari. I hadn't expanded upon that yet. But so you want, like Bud's saying, there's so much more to Africa just as a whole. But when I was a kid, the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go to Africa. I wanted to go on safari. I wanted to be in a Jeep, and I wanted a rhino to ram into it. This is what I wanted.
Well, now that you know better, you probably don't want them to do that.
I still want to go and have it ram into.
Well, actually, the coolest thing too, they show a part on there where they actually go and they kind of do rescues with rhinos, because obviously the horns are obviously tons of money. So what people do is the rhinos getting more extinct because people are killing them for their horns, cutting them off, selling them. So what they actually help them, and one of the guys gets to actually shoot the tranquilizer into the rhino or whatever. They go down and they cut off the horn so that they don't get
awesome.
So they cut it off in this nest so nobody can kill them and try to get it and wait for it to grow back. So they get to do that. So that's cool too. So it's not just like going over there and see. That's the cool part. That's a vacation, right? Not only are you going to do what you like, kick off the bucket list that you went paragliding or that you went bungee jumping, you also add to the list that you're helping with these animals. Like, you're there for a reason. Like, that's the cool part. You're not just there for the scenery and this and that. You can actually go out there and do something to help in a way, and something like that. That's another cool part about it, right? So for me, I absolutely wish I could get there. I don't think that, but the thing is, it's number one on the list. But in my opinion, I don't think it'll happen. I don't see it happening. It's just gonna be too hard to get out there. Well, maybe. I mean, who knows? I don't know what goes on in life. I'm still pretty young myself, so I have plenty of time to try to get there. But like I said, it's just one of those again where if it does pop up and I can get there, I'm going. I'm going. After watching that video too. That's the thing, is I would never in my life think South Africa would be on a list of a destination for me, right? It just wouldn't happen until I seen that bucket list video, and I can see what there is more to offer, how beautiful it is out there. I think it'd just be something that I could absolutely go out there and just enjoy, have a good vibe with, and just have just as much as Alaska too. Those top two for me, I just absolutely think I would just enjoy. I would love it.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll add to this segment for me, folks, is sort of encapsulate and you think grand with this type of thought is like you win the Powerball, I told my wife, I said, if we ever win the Powerball, we're done. You know, jobs are done. The very first thing we're doing is we're doing what we got to do to lock things up, or what do you got to do, pack things away, store things away, and we're just getting on planes and we're going around the globe for about 6 months,
Oh yeah.
and we're just
Oh yeah.
seeing the world. Because I've always told people, and I learned this from my dad. You know what you and I got it in part from our trip to Paris. But you know, you can look at a book, you can look at a TV, but it pales to actually doing something in person. Your greatest teacher in life,
Absolutely.
folks, is to have a chance to go explore the world. That's
For
your
sure.
greatest teacher, to go see how other cultures live, you know, what they do to get by, their successes, their struggles. That's your ideal education. If you want to really learn, is to have a chance to go experience life in the world. That's what we would do. Jump on planes and just be gone for 6 months to a year and see everything.
I agree. Totally agree with you, Mike. Well,
Awesome,
this was
awesome,
great.
awesome, Trisha.
Yeah, absolutely. This was fun. It was nice to kind of open that up because I mean, like I said, and it kind of gets me pumped to talk about it because, like I said, there's a couple of them on here that I feel like we could try to get to
Oh, sure.
in my lifetime for sure. Obviously, we're definitely going to try to make our push for Disney World here soon, hopefully. So, but no, great list, and hopefully, I'm hoping, Mike. I mean, maybe we can try to get some of these knocked off sometime. And then we kind of, if we can, then we can share our experiences too with the people out here in our chat and things like that,
Right.
and kind of let everybody know, hey guys, we were able to finally knock some of these off the list. It'd be great to share it with you guys too, to say, hey, we were out there, we were able to do this, and but let us know too, guys. Please, if you guys have been to any of
Yep.
these on our list, some of them that we've talked about that we've never been to, and you guys have great experiences there, or even bad experiences, let us know because
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something bad too, we'll listen to guys. Be like, hey, we're open too. If it's bad or you didn't like it there, let us know because we won't stop. Then we're with you guys.
Yep.
We enjoy. Well, you guys are the reasons we're here and stuff like that. So we'll take anything we can from you guys. But let us know if there's places that we didn't mention that you guys are kind of looking forward to. I know there's plenty of places out there, guys. Plenty of beautiful places that we didn't probably even mention for us on our list. But please, yeah, let us know. Keep letting us know how we're doing too. On top of that, guys. But next week, I think we will kind of let you guys know. I kind of like this background thing, Mike, where we kind of let everybody know like ahead of time what we're doing, but not giving it away type thing. So guys, we're gonna keep the top tens on the down low for right now. Every single time, we're just gonna kind of
Suspense.
keep you guys on edge and things like that, and keep you guys going. But like I said, once again, guys, let us know if you guys enjoyed our list, if you guys like them, how many of you guys have been to the ones that we mentioned, and your experiences if you have been there for sure. But once again, guys, great show, Mike. Appreciate you every single night. Every time we're out here doing this with us. It's always fun for sure.
Yeah, it really is, bud. Another great episode, enjoyable from start to finish. Two things, real quick, folks. Really, three. Just touching on what Anthony said, directed at you kind folks for tuning in every week and giving us the opportunity to share our thoughts and enjoy, our experiences and things we enjoy with you and those type of things. But just also real quick, a much or 1 day belated happy birthday to Mr. Nolan Alvarez, or Mr. Nolan Ryan, as I call him, based on Nolan Ryan, the baseball pitcher. But a very happy birthday to that gentleman. Hope he had a terrific birthday. And again,
Thank you. Yeah.
real quick, folks. It sounds repetitive, but I do it because it's meant from the heart. What you see here on a weekly basis, it just doesn't happen. It's not possible without this gentleman next to me. He's a very humble person. He'll never take credit for the things he does, not just with this, but in life. He's a very humble person, and that's what makes him the man he is, and the dad he is, and the husband that he is. But what he contributes to this show, there's no value you can attach to it. He is terrific at what he does with it. What you see, what you hear, this is this man's contributions week in and week out. So as I said, without him, this show does literally not happen. So a big shout out to Mr. Anthony Alvarez for all he does. Greatly appreciate it, sir, and I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share this with you on a weekly basis.
Well, I appreciate it. Definitely, for sure. I mean, like I said, guys, it's not just me. Mike too. He throws out a bunch of stuff for us, guys. Mike's always looking for the next best thing for us. I will say that he's always on top of everything with this. So don't think that we're not keeping an eye on you guys, or the viewers that we have, things like that. We appreciate everything that you guys do. I forgot to let you guys know, and I did not let Mike know about this yet, but we may. Well, I'm gonna get with Mike, see what we got planned. We can try to get a show in for you guys next week. But I am actually probably going. I am possibly going to Vegas
Hey!
this weekend's coming up. So I just got told by a friend of mine who's going if I wanted to tag along with them and stuff. So I might be out next week. But if we can try to get a show for you guys, we'll try to push it through. Definitely. We'll get with the each other and see if there's a way we could possibly get something going on for you guys for sure. But if not, like I said, guys, we appreciate everybody that is watching this. Please remember, like, subscribe. Just hitting that like helps us a lot more than you think, guys. So please, just if you guys are enjoying the content, please just let us know with hitting that like button, and that subscribe button. But once again, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Mike. Everybody enjoy the night. Have a great rest of the weekend, and stay safe out there, people.
Have a good weekend, folks.